But right now, Tom, we have to welcome into the Ray Carr family of guests here tonight the wonderful and talented Ken Prescott and Dorothy Kloss. How you doing, guys?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Ray, can you hear us?
Yeah, you're a little bit loud. We'll have you turn your speaker down just a little bit if you can.
Ooh.
Okay.
How's that? Is that better? Wait a minute.
Hold on now. Yes, we're having technical difficulties. Okay, I think that's better.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good.
So, Ken Prescott and Dorothy Kloss have a radio podcast out of Los Angeles, California. Now, you've been on my show before, which we were honored to have you. Tell me about how your podcast is going.
Well, it's just terrific.
We're out of Palm Springs, California.
I stand corrected.
That's great because we do it at our dining room table.
And that's where we are right now.
Oh, how nice. It's like.
Did you have a great New Year's?
Yes, I did. It was a lot of fun. Life in the fast lane. It barely makes you lose your mind, as they say in the song. But no, actually, it was safe, and I it was all right. Yeah, but being on the radio is my passion. I like that.
Well, we kind of like it. I'm going to turn you up a little bit because I'm technically challenged here a little bit. Is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, great,
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
What's funny is that our producer is Eric Koppelman, a nice Irish boy, and he's
yeah,
and he'll love that. I got a great story, but he's in Long Island, but he's so great. And Dorothy and I just had the best time this morning. We had Henry Krieger, who wrote Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It was great. So we've had a great time. And did I give you? Last week we had Kathy Lennon. Did I give you her number yet?
No. I'd like to speak with her. Kathy Lennon, of course, with the famous Lennon sisters.
She is really outstanding. I tell you.
She's great. She said she'd love to do it, and we went and had lunch with her afterwards. And because I choreographed the live Lawrence Welk show in Branson, and I know all four of the broads. I know I love them. They're wonderful. And she was just roaring at us because they're just great gals and so talented.
Ken, let me ask you.
Now we're going to have the whole slew of the ex Lawrence Welk.
Yeah, we're having Bobby Burgess, the tap dancer, and Arthur Duncan, the tap dancer, and Roberta Lynn, the singer. So it's going to be great.
Well, it's going to be a walk down memory lane. It's what I think it'll be, and it'll be great to kind of relive those days. Well, as they say, the long walk.
Uh-oh.
No, it's nothing. That's the FCC listening in, so we have nothing to worry about. No, what I was going to say is that it's a walk down memory lane, but it also opens up an area for people that have never heard of the Lawrence Welk show and some of these performers and go, oh, I didn't know this person existed. And then they can go Google that person and go, oh, my gosh, this existed back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and I never knew that. And this way we're educating a whole new audience.
No, you're right. Now, will the FCC let you say go Google yourself?
Well,
yeah, it's so funny. We've had such great times with these people. Well, I won't call them old. I've just called them, from the golden age. Watch it there, because we had Gigi Perot on, who is from MGM, and she was so interesting. Ray, don't you find these guests, these old showbiz people that really have done stuff, they're just so interesting.
Well, unfortunately, with Gigi and a couple of them, we could have done the show for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's no question because, you start talking about a topic and then they open up and they take you down another path and go, oh, I have all these questions now. So then you have a backlog of questions to ask, and the story that they're speaking about is so interesting, you don't want to interrupt them.
That's true.
And, we write a script. Now, I love our producer said, because he said, you never sound like you're reading from a script. Well, we write the script like we talk, so when we read it, it's like we talk. But, I'm a planner, so you plan, And then you look at the clock and go, oh, rats, we've got to wind this up.
And I like to ad lib.
Yeah.
If he'd just get off sometimes and take a breather so I could jump in. I have a lot to say, and I never get it in.
Well, you guys, when I listen to your podcast, we're speaking right now to Ken Prescott and Dorothy Kloss. Dorothy is the oldest living showgirl in the world.
93.
Anyway, amazing. But anyway, what I was going to say is when I listen to your podcast, you guys sound like you're having such a good time that it's almost like we're coming into your living room with you as listeners. And we're like part of this big family. And I'm kind of like in the back and the periphery, but I'm still part of it. And I go, this is really cool. I think this is a great thing. And that's what people want. I think they want to be brought in to a show and feel like they're part of it.
Well, that was one thing we asked Kathy. Oh, you'll just love her, Ray. I mean, she is such a darling woman. And she told us all about her family. And, I asked her about, she was 11, there were 11 siblings. And so that was a big household there, plus her mother and father and a grandmother. So they grew up and, in a very kind of disciplined home, but lots of fun. The mother was just full of fun, but they all had to really stay on that, narrow road. And I said to her, well, you know something? I really think that's the reason you girls connect so well with people is because of the way you were raised, because of the way that you feel like you want to be friends with these people, this audience. And, and that's the way we kind of feel about it, too. We want to connect with the people and have them say, gosh, I just felt like I could talk to them anywhere and come up and say hi there.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think that's what it's all about.
Well, I think so, too. There's too many radio shows, and I'm not going to discredit anybody, but no, that's not my style. No, I think there's too many shows that they alienate their audience to some degree, and they want to come off as really edgy, which is perfectly fine. The radio waves are open to everybody, but I think I enjoy listening to shows that kind of don't talk down to the audience, but talk to the audience.
Ray, I'm glad you said edgy. I can use the word apcre, right? It's Pig Latin. Anyway, I want to tell you, what is with these people and these talk shows? They want to be so hip and cool, and they're actually imbeciles. Such pandering and such baloney. People want to have a good time. And why are you going to put a guest at Dissy's or
no? You were looking for that word.
Yeah, or at odds, or want to be smarmy, or what is all of that about? I don't understand.
Well, I think what it is, and maybe Tom and Cindy could jump in here too. It's a generational thing, I believe, and the millennials, I think, are just accustomed to doing that. That's something they feel comfortable with, and that's what they understand. Just like we understand a certain way that we do things. So I just think that some of those people, they just target.
You know what? It's really disgusting. They should get over it. I mean, there's no manners. There's no stability.
No, there's no real class and professionalism, but a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people, unfortunately, they like something else, and I have to learn to accept that.
Have you been to Walmart and seen some of these people? No, I'm just kidding.
But we'll never get them.
But I don't have to like it, but it's the way it is. But that's why our shows exist, and I don't want to put anybody down, and I don't want to, but it is what it is. So they do what they do, I do what I do, you do what you do. So we all try to be the best at what we can be. But bottom line is, we try to bring the best entertainment to the radio and get the guest, whoever that may be, to speak about themselves, so we learn more about them. That's the key.
But I think you're right. There is an ease to it that the older, I should use the word older, more seasoned people on a radio come about more naturally than the young kids.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I mean, once you've done all the things that our guests have done, and most of them have paid their dues, they get it. They're not out to be pretentious or impressive. They're just out to tell what they've done And most of them were so grateful. Gigi said she was so grateful for the career she had. True. And all, and met. I mean, she worked with everybody. Claudette Colbert and Charles Boyer and all of those. And she said Betty Davis.
Oh my!
I asked her about Betty Davis. She said she was just like 18 months, but she said her mother said, "Well, Betty wasn't thrilled with children."
Even her own.
No. But she said most of them, Claudette Colbert, and all, were such classy, nice, professional people, and that's so nice to hear,
But then when you were on Broadway, Ken, and a lot of in the shows, you met Joan Blondell and all those.
Remember
gals?
Joan Blondell? Did I tell you that? But Joan Blondell, she was a great. Remember Joan Blondell?
I do. Here Come the Brides.
Yeah,
Wasn't she the saloon lady?
She used to say, "Listen, sweetheart, I want to tell you about Jimmy Cagney and I when we were at Warner Brothers." I mean, they were just great. And I was in a show called Follies. There was Alexis Smith and Dorothy Collins.
Wait, you were in that?
I was, honey.
Oh my! That is my favorite show. Did you know that on YouTube there is a film of all the footage they could put together so that you can really get an idea of what the show was if you didn't see it?
I saw that. Did you? I have a DVD. I should try and send it to you. Somebody gave it to me in New York, and I've never even looked at it actually, but I have it. What I did was I went in for somebody the last 3 months on Broadway. I understudied one of the young leads. Then we went to the Muni Opera in St. Louis, and we opened the Schubert Theater in Los Angeles, which unfortunately is gone. And we played for 6 months, and it was fabulous.
And you have a DVD of that?
Well, I don't have I have a DVD that somebody gave me of Follies. Now, I don't know if it was from a performance that I was in. Somehow I think it is, but I can't remember. It's been such a long time ago, but we had I'm laughing because we had the opening night party at the Century City Hotel. And you go down kind of under, and it's so there were there was Dame Judith Anderson, and
yes,
Greer Garson, and Lucille Ball. So I danced with all these people, and the chorus people in the corner going, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What are you doing? You'll never see these people again." So I went over to Judith Anderson, who was a great Trajan, Shakespearean Trajan, and Mrs. Danvers in Rebecca. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I went over and I said, "Judith, could I have a dance?" And she was 4 sheets to the wind. And she said, "Young man, I love to get up and dance with you." You were always so soft. Bashful Ken, they call it.
Hey, Ken, I wanted to ask you, the Lucille Ball story. Can you just give us some more insight about Lucille Ball?
Yes, I can, and it's funny. Funny you should ask me that, Ray. No, I was always, of course. I think Dorothy and I both I Love Lucy, and I think she was not only an icon, but a groundbreaker for women. She produced and everything, and I think that when she had divorced Desi and all of that business went on, I think there was a big change in her. And I think she became disenchanted, and maybe didn't come off quite as nice as she may have earlier on. Do you know what I mean?
Well, when I watched her show in the late '60s, Here's Lucy, she seemed a little bit more snarky. Maybe, I don't know. She was a little bit less warm. I don't know if that's what I'm talking about. And isn't it a shame? Because she was so talented, but I guess we all have things in our personal life, and I guess you can choose to let them color how you perform or how you don't perform. But I think it was just devastating to her. Don't you think so? It must have been because she was independent.
Her, Lucy Jr. lives here in Palm Springs. The daughter.
Okay.
And, she's really a great gal. She's really nice and very down to earth. And you know, it was so amazing, though. I did a reading of the women.
A staged reading.
Reading.
So I had scripts, but they were on stage.
At the Annenberg, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, right.
She was in it, and Florence Henderson and Lorna.
Well, I guess there's Florence Henderson. You won't be able to get her on your show.
No.
Go ahead, Dorothy.
Yeah, be a little bit of a long-distance call.
But you know, she was really quite wonderful in it, and very nice and very down to earth. And the only thing was, you know, I'm sure you remember this, Kenneth. After the show,
she's calling me Kenneth now. This is not a good sign,
Mr. Kenneth. After the show, you know, they had a party upstairs in the museum area, and it was all very
artsy, very nice.
Yes, I was going to say posh.
Yeah, well,
yeah, but anyhow, and so. What was it you said to her about her mother?
I went up to her and I said, you know, Ray, as we all did, I said, gosh, you know, I'm sure you're tired of hearing this, but I said, we really loved your mother, and she was so wonderful. And she said, well, yes, but she said, you know, she was very disciplined, and went on to tell me a few things about, you know, living in Beverly Hills. And I said, well, aren't you lucky? You could have turned out like one of these jerky Hollywood people. Instead, you turned out great. And she thought about it for a few seconds, and she said, well, I guess you're right.
Hey, on that note, we have to take a little bit of a break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, so can you hang on?
Oh, we're here, baby.
All right, we'll be right back. Well, Tom Napick and Cindy Verbalin are here with me. We're going to come right back to Dorothy and Ken. But, Tom, you wanted to add something about Star Trek. We were talking off the air.
Oh, yeah. And as we were discussing about Lucille Ball, I mean, she was one of the ones instrumental in getting Star Trek on the air.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the original pilot. They went to The Cage for the original series. And it was a matter if NBC was going to pick it up. Again, Jeffrey Hunter was Captain Pike. Mm-hmm. And then
the first officer was a woman.
Yes, played by...
Majel Barrett.
Majel, that's right. Who would later be his wife. Yes.
Wow.
Who would eventually they would go to Lucille Ball and to Sulu Productions, and then another pilot would be taped with William Shatner, Where No Man Has Gone Before, and then from there, the Star Trek universe was born.
Was it called Where No Man Has Gone Before? Wasn't there another name
Where No
too?
Man
The
Has
Menagerie
Gone Before.
or something?
The Menagerie. That was later on in the first
season. Where they incorporated a lot of the Cage, and they told another story around it.
Spock was on trial in that one. Yes.
All right, let's go back. Ken Prescott, Dorothy Kloss, how you doing?
Hey, I was just listening. You know, I think Lucy. I think when she was head of Desilu, you know, and I think they did the Untouchables. They did a lot of great series and were kind of innovative in their time in bringing some different series to TV, weren't they?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
A lot of them.
Well, the Untouchables, that was a great show. Robert Stack, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And the Danny Thomas show.
Who?
Danny Thomas.
Oh yeah, Danny Thomas. Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, we were talking. You know, Dorothy had the most watched interview on television. From AARP, they came out and filmed the show, and they had, in fact, the cover of her book. Dirk Halstead came out and did a photo shoot along with the video shoot, and it was a big deal. It was a great interview for AARP. This was in 2000. Oh God, I don't know, 9 or something like that.
The Pope was on.
Yeah, and she got more hits than the Pope.
Today's show. that was the box. The one guy wrote, and he said, all I can say is she's going to last a heck of a lot longer than the Pope.
Yeah, and look a heck of a lot better.
Look a heck of a lot better.
Well,
but anyway,
that's interesting.
I was listening to your commercial is what brought it back to mind, and they were just really wonderful to work with. You know, I mean, but and it was great publicity. Although I can't hardly remember it now.
So many interviews, so little time, Ray.
Yeah. When you guys do interviews, is there any particular guest? I mean, have you ever tried to go and try to get a guest that you aren't that familiar with? That's kind of like somebody you're not quite sure about, just to test yourself?
Well, I did. Actually, of course, I guess I'm a very forward guy. But when we're going to start this show, my manager, Brinton Rob, got our first guest, Donnie Most, and then, believe it or not, I know Dorothy and I both know a lot of people, but we've never had a platform. And then I'm on LinkedIn, so I saw Richard Maltby. Do you know who Richard Maltby is?
Yes. Yeah. Starting here, starting now.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know him from a load of coal, but I am connected on LinkedIn, and I thought he would be great because I want to get composers, and I'm reaching out to some famous dancers and stuff, a variety of people. So I emailed him, and he said, "Oh, Ken, here's my phone number." So I called him, and he's doing a new show in Toronto with Judy Kay, and I wish I could tell you the name of it right now, but it'll be on our radio show. And he was so nice, and so I'm going to have him on. Now, I didn't know him at all, but also I think the fact, not to forget me, also we've had some great guests, Ray, when you have a little bit of a track record like you do, it's easier to get people on your show.
Yeah. Well, it is, and we have a variety of people, like just random authors to celebrities, which is good because this way, you try to be as well-rounded as possible.
Yes. Yeah. Well, since our show is really based on the golden age of entertainment, and can I just give a little commercial here for that? Would that be bad?
Please do.
Well, listen, it's on www.wliny.com. That's for Long Island, New York.com. And if you click on the site, click on the link, and then click on our picture too for the show, it will come up, and we have all of our interviews archived. And we just did our fourth one. I can't believe we've already done 4 shows. Actually, we kind of credit you that you never called, you never write, you didn't ask us to do a radio show. No, but you were one of the first radio shows that we carried on with, and I think it just kind of greased the wheels for when we had the other interview with Eric, who was our producer. He called the next day and said, "Would you guys do a radio show?" And I thought he was kidding.
Yeah.
I got it for you, Susatska.
That's it, Susatska. But well, Cindy, baby, I want to tell you something. You are on the ball, baby, on the ball.
You can do a lot with an I-4. I'm curious, did you understudy young Ben or young Buddy?
Young Ben.
Follies? You were young Ben?
Yes, and don't forget, did I tell you that my real name isn't Prescott?
No.
Yes. Do you want to know my real name?
Sure.
my real last name is Putin. Vladimir. No, I'm kidding. No.
I hope not.
I'm kidding. It's a joke out there. Hello. No, my last name is Kloss. Ploss. And so I went. That's what I went under in Follies on Broadway, and a few other things until I changed it. And what's funny is Dorothy's name is Kloss. So when we went to Europe, these Kloss and
it's called Kloss and Kloss.
Passports, and they're going, "What is this? This is wrong information." I said, "No."
Kloss and Kloss, I love it. Or Kloss and Kloss.
Yeah, but it's Susatska, and it's supposed to be. They're really great. So I'm kind of anxious to hear about it when he goes on the radio show.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because he helped write Fame, I think.
Did you leave?
No, I'm right here.
He's right here.
I'm right here.
Oh.
No, the phones are ringing off the hook. I have to make sure that I answer them. But, Ken, I'd love to, at some point, come on your radio show and talk about entertainment and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, you're definitely on. It's so funny, Ray. I don't know when you started the show if you worried about guests, but when they called us, listen, I've cast a lot of shows and directed and stuff, but I said, "Oh gosh, I'm going to have to get these guests," and now suddenly they're lining up like pins in a bowling alley.
And I really think today, Henry,
he was great.
Henry Krieger. It started out really, he's very precise about what he's going to say.
Yes.
And then after, a few things we asked him, and boy, he was right there.
I want to tell you, Cindy, do you remember the Tap Dance Kid?
Yes, I do.
Well, I was in the Tap Dance Kid. It's a mostly black show, but there were a few of us fellas in it, and Dorothy said so. Henry,
he said he's going to do
a revival.
Yeah,
and Dorothy said,
and I said, I said, well, do you think there's a place for an old white tap dancer? And he laughed.
Rory said, you'll be the first one I call.
An old white tap
dancer.
This is the one with Savion Glover,
really
right?
And, he's written Dream Girls, and it was great.
Yeah.
Wasn't Savion Glover in the Tap Dance Kid?
Who?
Savion Glover?
Yes. And you know who is in it too? Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah. I heard, did I hear this correctly? I think Maurice Hines said this, that Savion Glover will not dance on a stage until the floor is the right temperature?
Yeah, I'm losing you, honey. You're kind of far away.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
That's better.
All right, Ken, can you hear me? Okay.
I heard that Savion Glover will not dance on a floor. Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
Until the floor is the right temperature.
Oh,
Wait a minute. No, wait. Go ahead. Come. You were great, and then we lost you to Star Trek.
Oh, okay. That he won't dance on the floor on stage until the floor is the right temperature. Is that true?
Oh, the right temperature?
Yeah.
We'll work on any floor.
What do you mean the right temperature?
No, that Savion Glover won't.
I've never heard of that in my life.
That the floor has to be heated up enough. I think Maurice Hines said it on Tapping Through Life. He mentioned it.
The floor has to be the right temperature?
Yeah.
What, like 68 degrees or something like that?
I don't know. But it's bizarre.
Cindy,
I think you have to be the right temperature.
Yes, and I think I have to have my dressing room painted and striped.
Good Lord. Thank God we're on at night here. Listen, guys, let me turn the ship around here. Let me ask you about some of the great comedians you've worked with, Ken and Dorothy. Tell me about some of those people, that the oddball individuals that you've worked with over the years.
Well, most comedians are oddballs in a nice way, I must say. I worked with Henny Youngman. It's kind of hit and run with all of them when you're doing nightclubs. And in the 40s, I did a lot of nightclubs, like the Chez Paris in Chicago and the Black Hawk and the Sherman Hotel and the Empire Room, the Bomber House. And then when I went on tour with Duchin, of all the
Eddie Duchin.
Eddie Duchin, I was a year with Eddie. We did all of the shows in the United States here, all the movie theaters, when you did 5 a day. You know what that is. Yeah. We did 5 shows a day. It was the Pathé News, the movie of the week, and the stage show with the big band. And you did that 5 times a day, sometimes 4, depending on the town you were in. And we played every move, like St. Louis, we played the Fox Theater.
With Billy DeWolf. Huh?
Well, I was going to head for that. Just tell your own story.
Yeah, go ahead. And see how we are. Go ahead.
The Bickersons.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and that was really great. And then when I went to South America with Eddie, and we played the Copacabana Beach Hotel in Rio, and we were there like 9 months. We came back on the second to the last boat that came back before the war, and lucky for us. And but that tour was with Billy DeWolf. And Billy was with us all that time, except when we went to South America. And he was just a dear, dear, nice man. And I always remember, we were all of us in the show, we were all fairly young, and probably too young. I think I was 17 at the time. And
called the Manax. You went across state line.
Chuck Berry was arrested for that. Go on.
No, who was arrested for that?
No,
Chuck Berry?
Chuck Berry. He was actually arrested for that. Seriously.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's back I think it was 1960. And, at that time, the pioneer rock and rollers were kind of fading away. Elvis went into the Army. Buddy Holly died. Chuck Berry got arrested. Jerry Lee Lewis married his 14-year-old cousin. So all those rock and roll pioneers kind of went by the wayside, which opened the door for people like Neil Sedaka, Dion, the Shirelles, and people like that to come. That became our popular music.
Well, you know the old joke about the two people in Arkansas, and they were getting a divorce, and she said to him, "Does this mean we're not going to be brother and sister anymore?"
Oh, but ching.
Oh my!
Oh my!
It's a joke.
Anyhow, getting back to the comedians. There was Joey Bishop and George Gobel. I used to do a lot of shows.
Do you remember George Gobel?
Oh, God, George Gobel. Of course I remember him. I saw him in Hollywood Squares at the end of his life.
Yeah. Georgie was just the nicest fella. And when I first met him, my agent called me and said, "Dorothy, I have a club date for you, and it's in the suburbs out here around Chevy Chase or something in Chicago." And he said, I said, "Well, Tweet, I don't have a car." And he said, "Oh, that's okay. I have this young man. He's going to pick you up, George Gobel. He's with the barn dance, WLS, I guess it was."
Yeah.
No, don't hold me.
In Chicago.
No, I think you're right. WLS, yeah.
WLS. And this was his first experience doing club dates. And so anyhow, he picked me up and I got in the car and he was kind of, he talked very slowly and he said, "Isn't this amazing, Dorothy? I never did these club dates." "Oh," I said, "they're very lucrative. They're great. You can do 3 or 4 a week. Friday you go to the agent's office, pick up your check and start all over again. And you could always..." That was a way of coming off the road after you've been on it maybe 6, 8, 10 weeks, and then you're at home and you're still working, but you're at home, which was nice. And so he said to me, "Well, I'm just really amazed." He said, "I really like this. He said, "I don't have to go out of town and I can still pick up all this extra money." And before we knew what happened, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy because he was funny and he was nice and he was just, another comedian. Now, I didn't work with Danny Thomas, but I can tell you about Danny. And in Chicago, there was a club, and it was just a little hole-in-the-wall type of club that had an stage on it, if you want to call it a stage, and it was called the 5100 Club. And it was, and Danny was married. I guess he had just gotten married, and he didn't have a job. Well, that's show business. You have one and you don't. And Ken and I are always looking for a job.
Hey.
Is there an agent out there? Hello?
Hey, guys, I know the feeling.
We dance, we kick.
Hello, Mr. Producer. Go ahead.
Anyhow, that was a segue, wasn't it? Anyhow, and so Danny was, he was really desperate to get a job, and so he went out to this 5100 Club, and they would have like maybe one, comedian and whatever else, and he went in and he came out. And he prayed to St. Jude. And he said, "Please, I really need a job. I really need a job." Mm-hmm. And the next day he got a call. Yeah. And he went into the 5100 Club, turned the club around. They had, within 6 months, Danny, they were lined up in front to get in to see him. And that was really the beginning of a great career for him.
And St. Jude Hospital.
And St. Jude Hospital.
Sometimes,
which is really kind of a powerful story, isn't it? Say yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, Dorothy, it really is. Danny Thomas is a powerful figure. Sometimes things happen to the people that they need to happen to because he was the right person at the right time to orchestrate that, not only in show business, but for St. Jude's Hospital. And it's done a tremendous amount of good for a lot of children.
But, on the other hand, what you were talking about a few minutes ago, about, all the people all the guys went overseas, they all were in the service, and those who were left behind, well, Frank Sinatra was one of them. He never went in the service. And when I was at the Strand Theater, when we came back from South America, and with Eddie, and I was at the Strand when he was down the block at the Paramount when all the girls were screaming, and we were going down there wondering how we could get them to come over and scream at the Strand. but that's true. And then, his career just took off from there. And
have you interviewed any what you really call wonderful comedians?
Well,
Rich Little.
I would say Rich Little's by far the best comedian.
He's great.
He's.
Wait a minute.
Did he do any of the voices for you? Because I loved his impression.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube right now. The interview I did with Rich Little's on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can watch it if you'd like to.
And we're going to talk to Rip Taylor in about a half hour.
Yeah, well, actually, in about 8 minutes because it's almost midnight right now.
Oh my God!
Oh, I don't want to leave you. Okay, listen, I have a funny story about Rip Taylor. Rip Taylor, and let me think. I hope I get this right. Rip Taylor, Debbie Reynolds, Donald O'Connor, and Robert Goulet were doing a show in Las Vegas. I know that's an unlikely, unholy four, but they were. And you can ask him because he'll remember the show. So I met him. He won't remember me, but he was a very nice man, but he funny as hell. And he said, I did this show. I said, I love the show. He said, the cast party was a blast. 4 people. He said, so the first day of rehearsal, I went in, and there was Robert Goulet and his wife, and his second wife, not Caroline. So he went in and said, so, Bob, how you doing? And he said, it's Robert. And Rick said, right. So anyway, Bob, how you doing?
Nice. Robert.
I love Rip Taylor's funny as hell. I like him.
Well, he'll be on here in just a little bit. Anyway, I want you guys to realize you can come back to visit us anytime.
Will you come visit?
Yeah, you're going to come visit us, and when we get, in a week or so, I'm going to call you, and we'll make a specific date for you to to come on, because I think everybody would love to hear it because you've done so many great interviews.
Well, thank you. We do the best we can here, and it's I like to share it with people. Again, it's not really about me; it's about the guests that I have on the show, trying to extract what they have to say and make them feel comfortable. When they do that, I'm doing my job.
Well, we're going to turn it around on you.
Yeah, boy, you're going to be in the hot seat now, Ray.
That's okay, Ken. I'm used to it. I've been on the hot seat before. I've been married before, so I know what that's like.
I'm sure you have. Well, now, actually, one question: how long have you been doing this show?
About 8 years, give or take. About 8 years, but I've been in the entertainment business for 35.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
And you're only 40, so
yeah. Well, I was a prodigy.
He's just a lad.
Let me count the ways. Oh my goodness! Oh well, see, you've got a big background there. Yeah.
Well, I have a background in little journalism, rock and roll, a little bit of everything, sports especially. I never talk sports with you guys, but that's what I grew up mostly in, is the sports world. But I just put that aside when I come to radio because there's enough of that out there, so I just do other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big sports guy. It's not. I don't dislike it. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, I know, and I keep all that like hidden away, so I bring it out when I need to. But I just try to make myself as well rounded as I can. And another reason I try to bring on different guests is because it educates me and gets me to think outside the box and challenges me to be better, because I can always be better.
Well, I think actually everybody can always be better, and I think that's a really good thing, and that I'd like to say about that, because I think people that come from our generation, forget our generation, I think people that really want to succeed in what they do are always trying to be better, and I think that's a lot of what's missing today, because a lot of these people think they're already just great.
No, I've never said I was great or good. I always said I'm a work in progress. I need to get to that point. So every time I do a show, I'm only as good as my next show. So I have to strive to try to be good. So that's what I look at. I never said that I am good. So I always keep striving to be the very best I think I can be, and I've not achieved that yet.
Well, Ray, we'll say we'll say you're good.
I say he's good all the time.
No, we never say we're good. No, I do believe in saying you're good, but you're never. I mean, you're always looking to do something better or something.
Absolutely. I mean, I criticize every mistake that I make, and it lingers in my mind for days after I do an interview or a show, thinking of how could I have done that better or that better. So I always.
Listen. Not a good thing. No, Ray, listen, give that up for Lent, baby. That's not a good thing.
No, you just have to let it go. Once it's gone, it's gone.
I know.
And believe me, it's not that important. I mean, when you look in the scope of things.
No, I realize. No, you're right. It's just that's my personality. It's because I try to be, as they say, a perfectionist.
That's it.
But I realize that the only thing that really matters is I have to try to not educate, but entertain and keep my audience happy. So I try to do that because really it's all about them. If they weren't out there, then there'd be no point in me doing this.
Well, that's true. And then that is the most important thing, I think, to keep an audience happy.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did our Christmas show in San Francisco, it was so much fun. We did it for the Marin Preparatory School, and so there were a lot of young kids, but then there were all these parents and people, and it was just so nice because they all had such a great time, and you just want people to be happy. I mean,
Sure. I could not agree with you more. I mean, in this day and age, for somebody to be happy is almost a rarity.
Well, now that brings on a song. I want
No. Though, just remember, Ray, a lot of people don't like that you're happy for two reasons. The first reason is they aren't and you are, and the second reason is they can't figure out why the hell you are happy.
Listen, if you have to work at being happy, forget it.
Yeah, is you is or is you ain't my baby. You either are or you're not.
Oh, guys, listen. On that note.
On that note, is you is or is you ain't my baby.
Ken, Dorothy, we love you, man. And it's top of the hour. We got to let you go. We'll talk real soon. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
And we love the lady on this.
Yeah, and is that Tom in the background?
That's me.
Well, we love you guys
Tom, baby.
too.
I'll fill a pizza, baby.
Oh, hey, I'll be coming out your way next month.
Tom will be in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Ken Prescott, Dorothy Dale Kloss, Two for the Road is their radio show, and they're Cindy. They're on.
Two for the show.
Yeah,
they're on WLINY.
Long Island, New York.
Yeah,
okay.
Which stands for Long Island, New York. Yes,
okay.
And it's WLINY.com. I think is where you can stream it.